Hello everyone. So I had asked people on my Instagram some questions that they would like me to answer about my upcoming trip as well as the trip from last year, the bike ride across America. So that is what I'm going to do. And I wanted to throw in an update of I'm going on a micro adventure biking from Miami back to my hometown, basically to my house. So we'll be making some video about that. That's gonna be a lot of practice, and I will also be testing out live streaming on Twitch and YouTube as well, just to see what works best so that we can try to get some live streams during the bigger adventure. But yeah, let's get into this Q&A. So the first topic we're going to get into is logistics. Question was, how do you plan routes, as well as how far do you go, where do you camp, and where do you stay? So for the first trip, overall, I used the Great American Rail Trail route to guide me on that trip. And for the most part, I stayed on that route for the trip, but there was times where I blazed my own path, but the Great American Rail Trail was my baseline trail that I followed for the most part. And then how I planned routes daily was based on how far I felt like I could go. You know, I didn't want to push myself until I knew I was strong enough to go farther. And a lot of times I figured that out while I was just on the bike, and sometimes I would be like, I'm gonna try 20 miles today. So I would pick campsites, I'd pick the places that I would stay based on how far I would go for the day. Just the night before, I just look on my Google Maps and I'd find a campsite that's within the range that I think I'm gonna go, or a campsite that I thought was interesting, or a warm showers, or if my only option was a hotel, I would choose the hotel. And a big part of that too was I wasn't particularly comfortable with stealth camping yet. I think I might try that on the new trip, but at the time I wasn't gonna just pop up in a cornfield on the side of the road, because I just wasn't comfortable doing that. So it was either warm showers, Airbnb, hotel, or camping. And there were times where it was literally only hotels. Like specifically Indiana, there was just a lot of space in between locations. And that's pretty much how I plan my routes. I just wanted to always make sure I was safe by the end of the day, and I'd always get faster and stronger along the way. And then over time, as I got stronger and faster, I'd go farther, which led me to my longest day of the 87 miles. That definitely was one of those on the whim type moments, because I just felt like it, and I felt like I could. And I think a big part of it was I was respecting my body's needs, and I was able to just make it to the other side. And from there, we'll go into the question of food prep and sleeping outside, outdoor sleeping, and my favorite moments. So for outdoor sleeping, when I was at camps, I don't know, I don't think I had very good night sleeps. I think towards the end, I probably started getting better sleep. And I think that was for a range of reasons. I had sent back my sleeping bag pretty early on, and I think it was just because I was trying to cut the weight out of my bags. And my sleeping bag happened to be one of the things. And I think I was like, it's the summer, it won't get that cold, but I was definitely wrong. There was times where it was very cold at night and it was uncomfortable. And then on top of that, like the sleeping mat that I had, it got punctured. So I'd wake up and blow it back up and then go to sleep, and that was it until I got to Chicago, where I was staying with my family for a little bit, and I bought a whole new sleeping pad. And then I eventually got a new sleeping bag. But in general, I don't know if there was many nights I got a full night's sleep, even if I was tired. But I also got to camp super early most times, since I started in the morning, and I get there at like 1. When it came to food prep, 9 times out of 10, I would go to sleep without eating. It was a thing that I did quite often because I was just really tired, and I just wasn't interested. Now, over time, I did get better at making sure I ate something. Because there was even times where I wouldn't even snack while I was on the bike. But that's one of the biggest things too with this journey, is I really do want to change my relationship with food, because I do have a tendency to go without eating for a very long time, and I've been big my whole life, and it is something that has been a thing, because you just worry about those things growing up when it's something that's always being poked at you. But I did realize, like, on the trip, it obviously affects you, because you are burning a lot of energy while you're on the bike, especially for, I think I'd be out there for like 6 to 9 hours a day, and then I think I would snack like only so much, but for the most part I'd drink water, and so eventually I started getting better at eating while I was at camp, and I don't think I got good at eating breakfast, but I would eat once I got back, So this new trip, I do intend to get better at making sure that I eat more often. And then it ends with favorite moments. So there's a lot of favorite moments. And I think some of my biggest favorite moments were, one, when you'd come to unexpected, beautiful locations. I mean, it always just like brightened up a day, like on the C&O, which is the first big trail you get on the Great American Rail Trail. The C&O, there's this one section where you're just like in a tunnel of trees, and then it just opens up. There's like this rock face on one side, and it's just the river on the other side. And then you can see like the mountains in the back, like way, way far back. And there's just trees and everything. And there's like people on their boats, and they were just playing. People were jumping off the cliff. People were just sitting on the side by the rock face. And it was just a beautiful sight to have seen. And I remember seeing that during watching the videos of the Great American Rail Trail, and specifically the C&O. But I didn't know where I was going to be. So when I came up on it, it was just breathtaking, And then there was the part with the dam, with the rushing water. That was another part that was just unexpected, and it was just very beautiful. Like, I did a mini road trip during the bike ride across America to get to Montana after many spoke failures in Nebraska. And then I think like there wasn't that many bike shops either, so I didn't have options to get the bike fixed. So we rented a car to go through the rest of Nebraska, Wyoming, to get to Montana. And honestly, that was great too. My little mini road trip, I've never been on a road trip, and it was an amazing experience. Stopping at Yellowstone Park, seeing the geysers, especially that. I remember seeing those geysers on somebody's TikTok like in 2020, and then I was there in 2021. The whole experience was just breathtaking, because it literally just brought life into me, and I was just so grateful to be out there. So yeah, like the mini road trip was definitely a favorite as well. And then the people, like people were definitely amazing during the trip. You know, I got a new bike from someone who blessed me with the new bike and gear. And you know, I'd meet so many random people along the way, like a ventriloquist, a lady that had just stopped to check if I was okay. Then she's like, she was the town ventriloquist, and I went to go see her puppets, and she showed me her ventriloquism. And then like a police officer who had was checking up on me because it was really hot, and he ended up pushing my bike up a hill, and I got to drive his truck. Like, there were so many random moments during that trip, and they were quite interesting. So yeah, those are definitely my favorites. So the next one would be any recommended bikes, food and hygiene tips. So in general, I'm not a bike person, and I was just going with the bike that I had at the time. And I started off with my childhood bike, and my childhood bike from the get was always uncomfortable. I still to this day have no idea how I rode it when I was a kid, because I was definitely too small for it at this age and this height. It was a large bike, and it was hard for me to get up and down. So I had eventually bought a new bike. I bought a bike at Dick's Sporting Goods. It was a twin mountain bike, hybrid. It was like a hybrid bike. And when I got that bike, it was complete difference. You know, I definitely think, like, for starters, make sure you get a bike that is your size. Like, I'm 5'4", so the Schwinn bike, when I got that one, it was like, I'm pretty sure it was a small. I'll put the name and its size in the video on the screen, but I'm pretty sure it was a small. And yeah, it was a big difference once I got that bike. It got me to Indiana. It was a pretty good bike. You know, I mean, it definitely had its breakdowns once I started getting towards Indiana, but it did get me to where I needed to go to get the new bike, which is a Trek FX2, and that one is in medium. And that bike, I mean, that was the one that was given to me by Will and Sprocket, Mr. Knoll. I'm so grateful that they had taken the time to find that bike for me and to bring it down to me. And that bike, I flew it. It's such a great bike. I definitely think the FX2 is a great bike. And one of the biggest things for this new trip that I'm getting upgraded on that bike, though, is the wheels. You know, if you're a bigger person like I am, and you do intend to bike tour, you know, you just need to make sure you have stronger wheels for the weight. Getting those upgraded, and then I'm also getting the gears upgraded so that I can go up mountains more efficiently. Yeah, I would definitely recommend just making sure you have a bike that is comfortable for you in size, most definitely, so that you can get on and off quickly, especially at stoplights and stop signs and whatnot. You want to make sure you can efficiently brake and get on and off the bike. I think that was definitely the biggest thing that upgraded for me. Now, food, I definitely didn't do a lot of food prep while I was camping, but the types of food that got me through was like the dehydrated meals, ramen, but a lot more like berries and nuts. I had like a lot of nuts, cashews, like the bars, the different bars you could get like bike shops, and then the ones with all the nutrients and whatnot, Gatorade and different electrolyte drinks, and a lot of water, you know. eventually I got like wheat thins and Triscuits and stuff like that. Trying to snack more because I just wasn't eating it as often as I think I should have. But in general, like, yeah, that's pretty much what I would have from time to time. And then when it comes to hygiene, for the most part, I was in a warm showers most often. Like, not every night, but I was able to do warm showers at least once or twice a week, if there was one available. And then, like, you know, especially in places like Indiana, I was definitely at a hotel or an Airbnb simply because, like I said before, I was not about the stealth camp. So for the most part, I had like 2 changes of clothes. I would have what I would sleep in and then what I would ride in. And then I'd try to make sure I didn't go like more than 2 days without at least getting like my bike shorts washed, getting clothes washed in general. But I like to make sure that my bike shorts stay clean and whatnot. And which brings into the conversation of like chafing. I don't think I chafed very often, if I'm not misremembering. I do think like in the beginning I might have, because I was getting used to it, you know, but I had the butter. I'll put the name of it on the screen. And I think maybe I didn't chafe because I'd make sure I'd put that on in general, maybe, but I feel like I didn't deal with chafing that often. Hygiene issues, I just made sure I had the ability to stay clean as much as possible, and I'd like wipe myself down. I did have like the wipes to wipe myself down, make sure I didn't get into my tent too grimy. And a lot of times too, there'd be paid campsites that I'd have to stay at, and a lot of those places also had showers. So I was able to personally stay clean. And then also like more on the hygiene tips too, I made sure like I had like the soaps and the toothpaste and stuff like that there that were like natural. So if I wanted to just like wash up while I was at a camp and I had that opportunity to, I definitely would do that as well. So yeah, hygiene tips. And so the next question is about wild animals. Did I see them? Was I afraid of them? Were they a problem? And in general, wild animals were not a problem. In the beginning, the very first day, I did have a squirrel eat through my food bag. Granted, it was one less bag in general, but the squirrel did eat through the bag, big hole. And then like, I did have my food bag stolen in Ohio. People assume that that was an animal. I have no idea because I was not gonna go outside of my tent. But in general, like the food bag was stolen and there were no footprints, no tracks, no nothing. So I have no idea who took it, if it was a person or an animal. But other than those 2 incidents, I never had a problem with animals. I saw a lot of deers. I saw a lot of deers all along the way. There was this one time, I think it was on the C&O. It was like a darker part of the forest. And there was like an abandoned building. And the deers were just inside the building, just stared at me. Like, you'd always get the deers, they always just be staring. Yeah, I saw a lot of deers, obviously a lot of cows, horses. Cows would be another one that would just stare at you, but horses would come and greet you, you know, and so I'd stay and just take some photos and kind of talk to them. And I saw some llamas or alpacas, one of the two. I saw the elks. I saw like an elk on the side of the road at one point. I saw bison. Those are huge. But yeah, none of them ever like they were never around me. And so I was good when it came to animals. For this trip coming up, you know, I'm starting in Alaska. You know, I'm gonna have to get a bear box for Alaska and Canada, probably even the Northwest. So we'll just keep on going with our bear box and go from there. But I do look forward to seeing more animals from afar, obviously, but to definitely see them in general. And so lastly, the question is, do you think you can commit to weekly videos along the journey and along this new journey? And the answer to that question is, I don't know, we'll see. You know, I have my ideas of what I want to do. I want to create a travel show. But I think one of the biggest barriers to that will be, one, just getting used to it, and two, because of all those mountains and locations, I think there'll just be times where there's no internet. And then three, you know, until I can make sure I get comfortable with being able to edit a video just to put it out there, that will definitely be a thing. I've been editing videos on my phone. I do want to get an iPad, I think. I don't know if I want to carry my laptop for this trip. But in general, you know, this Key West trip will definitely give me more insight with what I'll be able to do with maybe my phone and some hard drives. But if I can figure out how to tone it down just to get out weekly content, I will work towards that for sure. But yeah, at the end of the day, I can't promise it, but I definitely know, like, I will very much be consistent on Instagrams and maybe TikTok. But I think live streaming, I really want to do live streaming on YouTube and Twitch, which I think I can do clearly more often than trying to edit a video while I'm biking. Yeah, we'll see what we can do. So yeah, this is the Q&A, and I appreciate everyone that submitted questions to my Instagram. And thank you for following along. I do intend to relaunch my Patreon, where it will be a lot more simpler, so that anyone that wants to be able to do reoccurring donations will be able to sign up on Patreon, as well as you know, my GoFundMe. GoFundMe helps a great deal, and I appreciate it if you're able to, or even just to be able to share it works as well. So overall, thank you for watching. Talk to you soon.